The story of Abraham leading a force of only 318 men to defeat 4 kings and their armies is one of the most fascinating accounts in the Old Testament, filled with action, strategy, and a remarkable display of faith. Imagine the scenario. 4 powerful kings form a military coalition, a considerable show of force in ancient times. They launch a campaign against the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, capturing everything, goods, food, and people, including Lot, Abraham's nephew. The situation seems desperate. Lot, who had chosen to live in the fertile but morally questionable plains of Sodom, now finds himself in the middle of a geopolitical conflict. The cities are looted, and he is taken as part of the war spoils. Here the narrative takes an unexpected turn. A man escapes and brings news to Abraham, not just of a military defeat, but of his nephew's captivity. Abraham, then known as Abram, is faced with a critical choice. His response: prepare for a rescue. Abraham does not hesitate. He mobilizes 318 of his servants, men trained and born in his own house. This detail is crucial. We're not talking about a professional army, but a familial militia, united not just by loyalty, but by community and faith ties. This is a significantly smaller force when compared to the combined armies of 4 kingdoms. Yet Abraham and his men do not back down. They pursue the kings to Dan, a journey that takes them to the far north of the known territory. Upon arrival, Abraham does not launch a frontal attack. Instead, he opts for the element of surprise. They attack at night, an audacious tactic that catches the invaders off guard. The darkness, instead of being an obstacle, becomes an advantage for Abraham and his men. The ensuing battle is fierce, but their determination is unwavering. The outcome is astonishing. Against all odds, Abraham and his 318 men not only injure the 4 armies, but completely defeat them. This feat is not just a testament to Abraham's military skill, but also his faith in the Most High God, to whom he credits the victory. The battle, though fought with weapons, is won as much by faith as by the sword. And the spoil of this victory? Abraham rescues everything: the goods, the women, the people, and most importantly, Lot and his family. This is not just a military triumph, it's an act of restoration. Abraham brings back not just property, but dignity and hope to those who had been captured. The story of Abraham and his 318 men is a tale rich in drama and meaning. It speaks of courage in the face of the impossible, the strength that comes from faith, and the power of a community united by loyalty and love. Abraham, with his decisive leadership and unwavering trust in God, emerges not just as a great patriarch, but as an enduring example of faith in action. This story, with its mix of strategy, courage, and faith, continues to inspire and challenge, reminding us of the power of determined action and divine support in the darkest of times. Imagine the scene. Abraham, until then a man of peace, living quietly among his tents and herds, receives news that will change the course of his night. Lot, his beloved nephew, has been captured. What follows is a tale of bravery that seems more like something out of a movie. Abraham, who could easily be the protagonist of an action epic, makes a decision that defines his character. He will not leave his nephew in the hands of enemies. But how does one man, even as respected and influential as Abraham, face a coalition of 4 powerful kings? The answer lies in his faith and courage. With a determination that would surprise many, Abraham summons 318 of his servants. Think about it. Not soldiers trained in military academies, but servants, people he knew by name, who had shared meals with him, perhaps even those who had grown up under his roof. He arms them, preparing them for a mission that, to many, would seem like suicide. But Abraham had something beyond military strategy. He had faith that the God who called him would be with him. Now imagine the darkness of the night near Dan. Abraham does not choose direct confrontation, which would have been expected. Instead, he opts for a guerrilla tactic, attacking during the night. This move was not just strategic, it was audacious. He divides his men into groups, perhaps to surround and confuse the enemy, using the darkness as his ally. The element of surprise is crucial here, and Abraham exploits it masterfully. The nighttime attack is a resounding success. The armies of the 4 kings, despite their numerical superiority, and perhaps even their arrogant confidence, are caught off guard. Abraham and his 318 servants not only face them but defeat them, chasing them to Hobah north of Damascus. Imagine the scene. Armed men under the direct command of Abraham pushing their enemies back, freeing Lot and recovering all the stolen goods. It's a crushing victory, a feat that would resonate for generations. This narrative is not just a rescue story. It's a demonstration of leadership, courage, and above all, faith. Abraham, faced with a desperate situation, chooses to act. He does not allow fear or uncertainty to paralyze him. Instead, he stands up and fights, not just for his nephew but also for justice and good. This episode teaches us about the importance of facing our challenges, no matter how impossible they seem. Abraham, with his 318 servants against 4 kings and their armies, shows us that, with faith and courageous action, even the greatest victories can be achieved. It's a story that inspires us not to passively accept life's injustices, but to stand up and fight for what is right, trusting that we are not alone in our battles. Firstly, the term all the goods encompasses not just the recovery of material possessions that had been plundered by the invading kings, but also the restoration of order and justice. Abraham not only recovers what was lost, but also reaffirms the integrity and dignity of the people involved. The use of the word good here has a dual resonance, referring to both property and the overall well-being of the captives. The specific mention of Lot, described as his brother, even though he is actually his nephew, underlines Abraham's closeness and care for Lot. This is not merely an act of familial obligation, it is a gesture of deep loyalty and brotherly love. Including Lot by name highlights his importance to Abraham, and centrally motivates the undertaking. In recovering Lot and his possessions, Abraham not only restores to him his freedom and resources, but also preserves the lineage and future of the family. The mention of the women and the people rescued emphasizes the breadth of the impact of Abraham's victory. It's not just about retrieving property or rescuing a single individual. It's a communal liberation. Abraham ensures the safe return of all captives, regardless of their status or relation to him. This reflects a sense of justice and compassion that transcends personal or familial interests. Furthermore, the verse implies a victory not just over the enemy kings, but also over the desolation and despair they had caused. The recovery of goods and people is an act of restoring order and hope to the affected communities. Abraham emerges not only as a skilled warrior, but as a restorer of peace and prosperity. This verse, therefore, serves as a powerful epilogue to the rescue story, highlighting Abraham's skill as a leader and hero, as well as his faith and trust in God. Through his actions, Abraham not only ensures the safe return of Lot and the other captives, but also demonstrates the values of justice, mercy, and responsibility towards the community. The story of Genesis 14 verse 16 is a testament to the impact that one person, driven by faith and love, can have on the lives of many, and continues to inspire with its message of courage, compassion, and leadership. Genesis 14 verses 18 to 20 introduce an enigmatic and deeply significant figure in the biblical narrative, Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. This passage of Scripture stands out not only for its uniqueness, but also for marking one of the first recorded instances of worship and blessing outside of Abraham's direct familial context. In verse 18, we are introduced to Melchizedek bringing bread and wine, elements that are laden with symbolism. The bread and wine, later in Christian tradition, would come to be identified with the body and blood of Christ in the Holy Communion, making this moment a prophetic echo of the sacramental practices of the New Testament. But even beyond this future connection, Melchizedek's act is significant. He not only offers hospitality to Abraham and his men, but also provides sustenance after the battle, a gesture that speaks of fellowship and renewal. In verse 19, Melchizedek blesses Abraham, saying, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth." This blessing is notable for several reasons. First, it evidences Abraham's faith in the one God, the same God who created the heavens and the earth. Second, Melchizedek's blessing of Abraham serves to reinforce Abraham's position as chosen by God and destined for great things. The blessing, pronounced by a priest of God Most High, is a seal of divine approval on Abraham and his actions. Verse 20 continues with Melchizedek blessing God, who delivered Abraham's enemies into his hands. Here, Melchizedek explicitly recognizes God's hand in Abraham's victory, attributing the success not to human strength or strategy, but to divine intervention. This acknowledgement not only elevates Abraham's feat, but also points to a deeper understanding of God's providence and sovereignty over human events. This moment of blessing and acknowledgement culminates with Abraham giving Melchizedek a tenth of everything. This act of tithing, a significant portion of his war spoils, is a sign of respect and recognition of Melchizedek's spiritual authority. More than a mere gesture of generosity, it is an expression of faith and worship, an acknowledgement that all we have and are comes from God. Thus, Genesis 14 verses 18 to 20 are rich in symbolism and meaning. They not only mark a moment of celebration and blessing following the victory, but also introduce themes of worship, fellowship, and acknowledgement of divine sovereignty that will echo throughout the Bible. The figure of Melchizedek, mysterious and transcendent, serves as a link between the old and the new, between promise and fulfillment, inviting us to explore the depths of faith and divine revelation.